and I'm the National Distribution Manager for the iHSD product, the integrated Harrington seed destructor, which is designed and developed in Western Australia over the past 25 years, looking at harvest weed seed management tools. Today we'll go through a bit of a presentation introducing you to the product, some advantages, and along with some harvest weed seed management information. Ray Harrington came up with this system in 1995. He decided that he was having some weed issues, and with resistance, the chemicals weren't working. So in 1995, he designed a mill. It was a toe behind the combine system. He worked on improving and running this unit over 15 to 20 years, and then in 2012, they became commercially available and were built by De Bruins in South Australia. In 2016, they started building them integrated into the machines that were hydraulically run. They had their own hydraulic pumps, and so they could run integrated with the machine. And then in 2018, a Western Australian farmer designed a mechanically driven mill that we are now commercially producing Australia-wide. And for the 2020 harvest in Australia, we'll produce 200 machines. It's two mechanically driven vertical cage mills that are retrofitted to the rear of the machine under the sieves. So we deal with the chaff that comes off the sieves, and that is processed through the mills that are spinning at 3,000 RPM. And when they go through the mills, they're severely impacted and no longer viable. All chaff and inert weeds are spread over the paddock as powder. As can be seen here, there is a bidirectional auger that feeds it into the mills on the left and right hand side, and then it feeds out of the external chutes and into the straw stream, driven on the side of the machine in conjunction with the chopper on a New Holland. Obviously we cover a few different makes and models of combines, but in this instance on the New Holland, it runs in conjunction with the chopper drive. As you can see here, there's a lot of chaff and dust that comes out. It's being processed and it mixes in with the straw that's going through the chopper. So as you can see in this picture that you're looking at now, we incorporate that back into the soil, eliminates any need for chaff burning and chaff lining. So as you can see, this is an integrated, neat little package on the back of the machine that kills 98% of the weeds that come off the chaff, off the sieves and through the chaff. It kills all of those. So, like I said, it destroys up to 99% of the weeds, weed seeds and volunteer grain that goes through the machine. It's been commercially built for over 8 years now, and it was originally a toe behind and now obviously integrated. It's a one-pass system, so there's no requirement for burning post-harvest to clean paddocks for chaff, and it's Australian designed and built after 25 years of research. As you can see here on a case machine, similar setup. It comes out and mixes with the straw out of the spinners on the back of the case combine here. That's a 4-ton barley crop in Western Australia last year. It's a direct mechanical drive system. It mounts under the sieves, and it is driven in conjunction with the chopper off the engine PTO drive. It's a very simple direct drive system with no gearboxes, no clutches, anything like that. So it just very, very basic design that is very, very effective. The bidirectional auger obviously feeds the chaff in, spinning at 3,000 RPM. Under the bidirectional auger in the middle there is a stone trap for any foreign materials that may pass through the combine, and so we don't ingest them in the mills. We also have the capacity to bypass the mills by disengaging the belt and opening the back doors, which allows us on the John Deere machines to feed the chaff directly into the choppers, and it still allows us to windrow. As you can see on the side there, we run off the slow speed chopper drive on a John Deere machine. It's idler pulleys and pulley drive pulleys driven direct off the engine in conjunction with the chopper. The bearings are over-specified for the job that they're doing. They can spin up to 4,000 RPM and run 300 horsepower through them. This machine takes about 60 horsepower. They constantly run at 3,000 RPM, which after all of the extensive testing that's been done over a number of years has been found to be the optimum number for the highest kill rate and lowest power draw on the engine. The patented iHSD mill technology is a cage mill that spins. There's a stationary cage and a moving cage, and it's just an impact mill, and it's built out of hardened steel. Very easy to deal with. There on the picture on the right, that's opening the stone trap, so any foreign materials can be let out. So it's a very simple system.
One of the key features of the new iHSD mills is our stone trap. As we all know, foreign objects will be put through the combine. Last year we had 2 retractables and numerous knife blades go through the machine. This particular machine, one morning when the operator was doing his pre-harvest inspection, he opened the door and this particular retractable finger was ejected onto the ground. The good thing was no damage whatsoever was done to the mills or any of the iHSD, and was able to keep harvesting.
Very simple bypass mechanism, so we can run the machine, we can run the combine without running the iHSD, or we can run the combine with running the iHSD and still windrowing the straw. So it gives you some options. It reduces downtime in damp conditions, and it allows you to work in conjunction with your own farming systems. There's a little bit of footage here of both running in the northern wheat belt of Western Australia in the 2019 harvest on an S680 John Deere. So as you can see in that one there, he's windrowing his straw and still running his iHSD and processing the chaff and still getting a weed kill on the chaff, but windrowing the straw. And then in this one here, we're windrowing the chaff and still putting the straw through the chopper and getting coverage across the paddock to put back the nutrients in the residue. So after some extensive testing across the wheat belt of Western Australia mainly, as this is where the product was designed and built originally, we've done a lot of in-field testing, and as you can see, we did some tests with a demo machine with and without an iHSD fitted. So as you can see on germination on the left-hand side, that picture there is volunteer ryegrass in between the interrow with the wheat, and then on the right is cleaner. So the one on the left was running without an iHSD the harvest before, and the one on the right was harvesting with the iHSD. This is exactly the same position after harvest of the same paddock. In that field, we found the yields were less than half on that, which was it was a massive ryegrass issue in that field. As you can see, in 1 year, there was a difference there, and you can see that speaks volumes for the amount of weed seeds that have been processed and killed in that one spot in northern Western Australia. Some commonly asked questions that we have had over the journey with these machines is, firstly, does the iHSD affect combine capacity? An iHSD takes approximately 75 horsepower to run, so it runs at 60 horsepower empty, at full capacity is 75, and our clutch system is the belts, and they will begin to slip at 85 horsepower. So it does affect it to a degree. It probably brings the machine back about 1 class in combine. So if you're running a class 9 combine, it will bring it back to about the capacity of a class 8 if you are running that machine at 100% engine load. Have growers changed the way they use pre-emergent herbicides after they start using the iHSD? So this is some anecdotal evidence across our network that we've had for some guys that have been using for now up to 5 years. These guys they've said that they are still using their pre-emergent herbicides. We have eliminated some real problem areas in problem paddocks, but across the board, they are still using them as it's a tool in managing the ryegrass numbers mainly, but weed numbers. So what they have, anecdotally, what they have said is that their rates of pre-emergent chemicals haven't gone up over this period of time. And as a rule, they've sort of suggested that they do creep up over time. But since using the iHSD, they have held consistent rates of pre-emergent herbicides, and they're getting good results with these purely in the population numbers. So, and another question we get asked a lot is, if I spend money on the iHSD, will I save money on herbicides? The answer is, over the journey, over a long period of time, yes, that will be the case. First up, after the first season, the main saving that you will see is less population in crop, and post-harvest, the volunteer weeds and volunteer grain that does go through the machines, that is where we've seen the biggest saving in the shortest amount of time. In Australia at the moment, we've got an independent organisation called ARI, Australian Herbicide Resistance Initiative. These guys have put together an online calculator to calculate the cost of all harvest weed seed management tools that are being used across Australia at the moment. So there is obviously there's a lot of different options with chaff lining, chaff carts, chaff decks, bale direct, and a couple of mill designs that we're looking at in Australia at the moment. So these guys have put in all of the numbers. Our capital cost is higher than some of the cheaper ones, but as a cost of ownership for depreciation, everything taking into consideration, on an average season with the average crop in Western Australia, to run our machine is a $13.38 a hectare cost to own and run this machine, including the capital cost. And as you can see, there on the left-hand side, they've taken into consideration a number of things. Quite a cost-effective way of running any harvest weed seed management tools. We're pretty comfortable that this is probably a very good way to go, in the fact that mechanical destruction, we don't have to worry about the burning of fields and the issues that creates. At the moment, machines that we're fitting, we've gone back about 10 years, so we've got enough horsepower, and we've got the numbers for manufacturing. So in New Holland, as you can see, we go from the 80-90, 90-70, 90-80, 90-90, and then the DOT series. In the John Deere's, all S machines from S670 and above. In the Case, all from the 7 series, from the 7230 up to the new 9250. And on the Class machines, we've got the 8800, the 8900, and the 780 and 770 machines. On those, we figure that's the biggest population of machines that we have in Australia, which we're catering for. That concludes our presentation today. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you found the information informative and interesting. If you have any further questions in regard to any of the information that we went over today, please contact us via email, and we'll endeavour to get back to you with some informative answers. Thank you.